NBA is America's first Bud Light style fiasco, but you're not supposed to know that. The far left-wing sports media has refused to cover the NBA's ratings collapse over its embrace of woke politics because they don't want to admit what happened. Bud Light's business has collapsed since April, plummeting 30% in consumption, the result of the company putting a trans influencer on a can to celebrate the NCAA's March Madness basketball tournament. The resulting social media brouhaha, combined with the head of marketing deriding the brand's out-of-touch humor and fratty connotations, has led to the most crushing boycott of a large consumer product brand in modern history. Bud Light, legitimately, might be finished as a popular beer. As I demonstrated in May with an experiment that went viral, many beer drinkers simply refuse to be seen with a Bud Light. The Bud Light backlash will be studied in marketing courses for the next 40 or 50 years as a perfect example of what happens when a brand alienates its core audience by embracing values antithetical to its core consumer. But many in the media are already proclaiming Bud Light as a unicorn, the first of its kind conservative boycott that has obliterated decades of goodwill for a company. But this isn't true. Conservative boycotts work. The most consequential consumer boycott of the 21st century didn't come from drinkers' rejection of a beer, it came from sports, in particular the NBA, which has destroyed its brand with a large percentage of the American sporting public by embracing woke, political, far left-wing messaging in its games. So why haven't you heard about this despite the overwhelming data I'm about to lay out for you? It's simple. The American sports media is so far left-wing that they have refused to share the data right in front of their eyes. The American sports media overwhelmingly supports far left-wing political messaging. They love it because it reflects their own ideals. The vast majority of the sports media wants sports to be filled with left-wing politics. They see it as an affirmation of their own personal beliefs and applaud it. But this same media won't write or report the truth about the decline in the NBA's viewership, because to do so would be seen as a repudiation of their own worldview. So they pretend everything I'm about to share with you hasn't happened. I first became aware of the NBA backlash in 2017, when the league pulled its All-Star game out of Charlotte. At the time I was hosting a morning sports talk radio show, our lines overflowed with sports fans, people who loved basketball, saying they were going to stop watching the NBA over the political decision. We talked about it on the show, and I wrote about it on Outkick, but the larger American sports media pretended I was crazy as I discussed the backlash. The woke sports media just wasn't willing to admit that sports fans might change their behavior over sports leagues embracing politics, even as the data showed that my listeners weren't lying. Many were, in fact, turning off sports. The NBA fan boycott was Bud Light before Bud Light was. So, why is the Bud Light boycott everywhere? And this might be the first thing you've ever read about the NBA boycott. Because there's no ardent fan base for Bud Light in the media. No one particularly cares whether Bud Light is or isn't a popular beer. So the data on Bud Light consumption, by and large, is reported on without bias. But the NBA ratings, which are every bit as reliable as the data on Bud Light consumption, if not more so, is ignored. But if the sports media had done its job, the Bud Light situation might not have happened. Instead of turning Bud Light into a verb, companies now speak of avoiding being Bud Lighted. Companies would have said they hoped they didn't get NBA'd. There would have been more of a reticence for brands to wade into left-wing politics. Even now, just the mere suggestion of the NBA's collapsing viewership will send the usual left-wing sports media subjects into fits of rage. Don't believe me? Search mentions of my name and NBA on social media once this story goes viral. The vociferousness of the response to facts and data, the willful blindness and fits of rage this story will entail, provides all the evidence of the bias I need. The left-wing sports media simply can't handle the idea that Michael Jordan was right when he said the reason he didn't get involved in politics was because Republicans buy sneakers, too. NBA alienated fan base by going woke. It turns out, Republicans don't just buy sneakers, they also really like NBA basketball. Or at least they used to. Let's take a quick trip into the NBA's history to show you where the NBA used to be and where it is today. And let's start almost exactly 25 years ago today, when Michael Jordan stepped back for a jumper, subtly pushing off the Utah Jazz's Brian Russell in the process, and drained a jumper to win Game 6 of the 1998 NBA Finals. I was watching that game on television with friends in Nashville. I was 19 years old, having just finished my freshman year in college. Chances are, if you were a sports fan in 1998, you were watching that game too.